A second chance at life is the ultimate fantasy. But for ordinary salaryman Takeru Kamishiro, it was a terrifying ultimatum. He was suddenly ripped from his boring, clockwork existence, standing before a cosmic entity who told him he had already died in the real world. His only choice was rebirth on the dying planet of Medeus, tasked with saving its constantly collapsing civilizations. The problem? He was given virtually no combat skills. No hero's sword, no fighting experience, just overwhelming raw magic power he couldn't control, and an odd team to search for materials. He arrived utterly alone, financially ruined, and immediately facing starvation. This was a high-stakes survival game, where the world's salvation, or his own demise, hinged entirely on him learning to scavenge quickly. The cosmic entity wasted no time on pleasantries, getting straight to the point about Takeru's new role as the world's reluctant messiah. After processing the shocking news of his death, Takeru, recalling his mundane previous life, settled on his new priority, a desirable companion. He politely requested a cute companion. The god, amused by the simplicity of the wish, simply assured him he would encounter many desirable partners on his journey. Equipped with maxed-out mana reserves, automatic global language translation, and an infinitely large storage bag, a glorified grocery tote, really, Takeru was unceremoniously dumped into a dense, unknown forest. He looked around at the towering trees and the alien sky, quickly realizing the divine intervention hadn't provided a roadmap, only the raw, often confusing tools he needed to figure out his own survival. Upon awakening, Takeru's immediate thought was, naturally, food. He remembered his single, crucial cheat skill, the search magic. Excitedly, he tried to activate the spell, but it failed completely. He felt a deep surge of shame and frustration, realizing that magic in this world wasn't intuitive. It required an unexpected, almost bureaucratic step. He had to scrawl the Japanese command in the dirt to make it work. As the spell activated, the world was instantly transformed. Holographic icons indicating rare materials lit up everything around him, even the weeds and pebbles. He systematically differentiated the symbols, learning the hidden language of the gatherer. Clovers meant herbs, diamonds meant minerals, and hearts symbolized life energy. The first high-value item he scanned was moonite grass, listed as a rare B-rank material. Takeru had been reborn not as a warrior, but as a master scavenger, and he embraced his new role instantly. He resolved to become the greatest gatherer merchant Medeus had ever seen, if only to afford a decent meal. Takeru spent hours tirelessly filling his infinite storage bag with every marked item he could find, quickly amassing an unbelievable haul of high-quality goods. He made his way to Tormi village, and, introducing himself as a traveling merchant, encountered the curious village guard Marlowe. At the general store, the shopkeeper was instantly stunned, not by Takeru's awkward height, but by the sheer overwhelming quality and volume of his inventory. Takeru, who had only been gathering for a few hours, received 300,000 raves for his collection, an equivalent of roughly $20,000 US. He had gone from disposable salaryman to unexpectedly rich commodity broker in a single afternoon. The shopkeeper, assuming Takeru was a legendary specialist, immediately tasked him with a perilous mission: retrieve rare Misral ore from a remote mountain. That night, at the inn, he received a small but shocking dose of reality. The inn had no public baths. Only nobility could afford that luxury. Takeru, a man now capable of cosmic feats, was forced to settle for a simple cleansing spell, his dignity permanently wounded by the lack of a proper soak. Takeru's quest led him deep into the feared forest of ancient dragons. He noticed the strange, unsettling absence of monsters. Perhaps they were scared of his power, or maybe the rumors were simply false. Pushing onward, he suddenly lost his footing on a treacherous slope and fell into a deep cave entrance. Landing safely thanks to his magic, he continued his search for the Misral. but instead made a much grimmer discovery. The skeleton of Belria Fend. The fallen warrior had succumbed here, and Takeru found a simple necklace and a heartbreaking letter from the man's family, pleading for him to return home before it was too late. It was a tragic, sobering moment, showing Takeru that the quiet, desperate dangers of this new world were just as deadly as the mythical ones. Takeru honored the dead, digging a proper grave and saying a prayer, acknowledging the anonymous sacrifice. Before resting, he mixed scavenged materials into a makeshift Takeru's soup that, against all odds, was surprisingly delicious, proving his gathering skills extended to cooking. Deeper inside the cave, the environment grew unstable. Takeru successfully located the first deposits of the requested Misril ore, gathering a small but valuable amount. But the earth began to shake violently, rumbling with escalating intensity. Ignoring the clear danger, Takeru pressed on, driven solely by the promise of more valuable loot and the need to complete his quest. That's when he stumbled upon it, a pool of water that glowed faintly, the purest and cleanest he had ever seen in either world. Scanning it, he found the frightening truth. It was SS-rank underground magic element water, and it was explicitly listed as belonging to the ancient dragon of the underworld. Despite the clear warning, Takeru, driven by foolhardy overconfidence, couldn't resist the draw of the high-ranked material. He took a drink. This action was his immediate undoing. His massive, unstable mana reserves flared violently upon contact with the sacred water, instantly awakening the beast from its deep slumber. A terrifying, earth-shaking scream echoed, and the colossal dragon, Voldius, emerged from the pool's depths in a torrent of ancient magic, demanding to know who dared disturb his sacred domain. Takeru reacted instinctively, dropping to the ground in a deep bow, a habit drilled into him from 20 years of apologizing to his boss. He apologized profusely, explaining he was merely a gatherer. The dragon, however, was not concerned with politeness. He was shocked by Takeru's sheer amount of mana, noting it was on par with his own. Voldius then made a stunning, transactional request. His child's egg would not hatch because it was tainted by miasma, and he needed Takeru to use his unique, clean mana to save it. The reward for this terrifying task was the rest of the Misril ore Takeru came for. Takeru agreed, but his attempt to heat the egg with his power caused a sudden, violent explosion of pure magic. He was overwhelmed and fell into the water, briefly losing consciousness. In that instant of darkness, a second deity appeared, a universal middle manager, who angrily noted that Takeru, by involving himself with the dragon, had fundamentally broken the balance of Medeus already. Takeru was nearly erased by the sheer force of the resulting chaos, facing a second death just moments after starting his new life. Takeru awoke, sputtering for breath, relieved to see Voldius still there. More importantly, the egg had hatched. A tiny, dirty baby dragon suddenly bounded onto him, licking his face. And it was dirty. Voldius, explaining that Takeru was the stronger parent and the baby had imprinted on his mana, declared the baby was now his to raise, fulfilling Takeru's wish for a cute companion. The dragon, whom Takeru affectionately named B, was now his ward. Voldius then gave Takeru the promised Misril ore and retreated back into his pool, instructing Takeru to leave. The salaryman, who began with nothing but a search function, had now accidentally formed the most shocking contract in the world of Medeus. He left the ancient forest not with a sword, but with a literal mythical beast in tow. The greatest threat now wasn't monsters or starvation, but figuring out how the world's quietest gatherer could possibly keep a baby dragon a secret in Tormi Village.
Takeru and B finally exited the ancient dragon's cave just as the sun was setting. B, seeing the world outside for the first time, zipped around happily, vibrating with pure, unadulterated energy. Takeru knew they had limited daylight left, so he quickly decided to set up a temporary camp nearby. His first priority was B. He filled a glass with the magical lake water, the special tonic the ancient dragon, Voldius, had magically linked to Takeru's inventory. This water was absolutely necessary for B's growth, feeding her rare status. She quickly finished the first glass, and then, in a truly surprising moment of maturity, she kindly handed the full glass back to Takeru, wanting him to drink the nutritious water too. Takeru, the supposed weak gatherer, reluctantly took a drink. Next, Takeru focused on defense and comfort. He used his own mana to instantly generate rare magic stones to create a barrier, skipping the lengthy hassle of speaking full spells out loud. He knew magic stones were considered incredibly rare in this world, a shame he didn't need any of the scarcity. He concentrated heat magic and created a controlled flame stone for cooking. With the fire ready, Takeru began preparing a hearty meat stew. B started drooling uncontrollably at the sight of the food. Takeru decided she should be able to handle solid food now and poured her a bowl. He warned her it was too hot, but the little dragon simply ignored the warning, guzzling the stew down quickly. Predictably, she burned her tongue, a truly dignified and pathetic display for a mythical creature. Takeru had to sigh, taking the bowl and gently blowing on the stew to cool it down. As B drifted off, Takeru found her utterly adorable. He checked her stats, confirming she was already at a terrifying B rank with seriously impressive natural gifts. He was shocked, but decided that no matter how strong she became, B was still a child who needed guidance. He started lecturing her on being careful and listening, but B, too sleepy, simply snored right through his speech. Takeru was left to ponder if he had been given an overpowered kid who literally ignores him. With the night peaceful, Takeru knew that morning would bring new challenges, and the next morning, things got aggressive. The next day, Takeru climbed the cliff he had fallen from, reaching the perimeter of the forest. The area had strangely transformed. As B began exploring, a strange, primal tingling hit Takeru, and B came flying back, visibly terrified. His radar interface lit up with a flurry of monster pointers. He realized his monster-repelling, bad smell must have finally been washed away. He wasn't worried, though. Fighting meant getting valuable materials and fresh meat. The danger wasn't just lurking in the trees. A C-rank rock falcon suddenly appeared, swooping down behind him. B was terrified, but Takeru dismissed the predator as a cute ingredient. As he read the monster's description, he noted its meat was tasty. Right, fine then. That was reason enough. He instantly created a powerful magic shield, then shot razor-sharp ice spikes, bringing it down instantly. One new ingredient secured. But B pointed to the forest, where more monsters were emerging, a pack of vile wolves with snakes for tails. Takeru knew he had to face them in close combat. He quickly cast enchantment spells to make his body lighter and faster. He reinforced his entire body with defensive magic. When the first wolf lunged, he dodged it effortlessly, then landed a decisive, ultra-hard kick to the wolf's head that instantly eliminated the creature. The other wolves were too slow for his enchanted speed. Takeru systematically took them all out using powerful, swift kicks. He collected the valuable meat and materials, but then spotted even more creatures coming. He was profoundly annoyed now. He couldn't keep fighting an endless tide forever, as much as he enjoyed the quick, satisfying exercise. Just when he thought the brutal forest fight was over, the onslaught still wouldn't let them go. The sheer number of monsters was reaching overwhelming levels. They needed to move, and they needed to move fast. B, seeing his frustration, decided to help, trying to fly him out while carrying him. Takeru thought the little dragon couldn't possibly manage, but B used her amazing power to lift him up. Takeru tried to assist her by casting a spell to greatly reduce his own weight, but he helped too much. B was completely unprepared for the sudden drop in load and suddenly shot high up into the sky, surprising both of them with her speed. Takeru panicked, screaming that she was flying too high, and the startled B instantly dropped him. He started screaming as he plummeted back toward the ground, but thankfully, the dense trees acted as a giant, soft cushion, saving his life. B immediately zipped down after him, covering his face with frantic apologies and licks. Takeru was low-key, annoyed by her antics, but as he stood up, he realized they had flown completely clear of the forest. He thanked her, but begged her to hold back a little next time, emphasizing that he was merely a fragile human. B, not understanding those complicated words, just hugged him tightly in reassurance, accidentally breaking a couple of his ribs in the process. They had escaped the creatures, but the next discovery would be even more ridiculous. As they resumed their journey, Takeru waved a random branch he'd found, claiming it was the branch of the legendary sleeping Yggdrasil that embodied the world. B knew the secret. She breathed a cloud of stinky gas that instantly transformed the tiny branch into a magnificent staff. Takeru was shocked, a gatherer with a wizard staff. How utterly inconvenient for his disguise. His thoughts were cut short by a loud, monstrous roar. Following B, he found her circling a tree near a ragged, exhausted female elf. The monster roar was her stomach. She hadn't eaten in 3 days. Takeru couldn't believe the sound was coming from her. He handed her his water bottle, which she emptied immediately. The water helped, but didn't ease her hunger, so Takeru offered her his lunchbox. She greedily devoured the food, shooting a hyper beam of joy and saying the food was heaven. Takeru was taken aback. Elves shouldn't behave so utterly uncivilized. He tried to temper her praise, telling her the food only tasted good because she had been starving. Takeru started roasting her, asking how she possibly ran out of food, adding that even a complete beginner would carry a lunchbox. The elf got pissed and moved to quarrel with him, but Takeru immediately backed off because she simply stunk. He confessed he thought elves smelled like peppermint and strawberries, not fresh manure. The elf was furious, saying she couldn't bathe while camping. She ran off, thanking him for the food, but lectured him for mocking someone who had just helped him. Takeru was left utterly disappointed after his first encounter with an elf. This world apparently offered no elegant fantasy races. Anyway, he regrouped and exited the area. B spotted a magnificent carriage pulled by a unicorn from over a mile away. The merchant driving it, Porin, invited him to ride along to the Tormi village, asking if he was a wizard because of the staff. Takeru nervously replied that he was just a humble gatherer, which Porin found impressive since gathering experts were rare. The whole family, Eliza, Yunnan, and Kane, checked him out. Takeru tried to scare the kids by joking about being a bandit. The boy simply laughed, saying he couldn't be bad because the magic crystal bell hadn't rung. It rings when a bad person is nearby. Takeru was deeply impressed by the simple, effective security idea. He introduced himself. The family was incredibly friendly, saying they always help each other out. Takeru found them almost too trusting for their own good. They had no idea who was really riding with them. Later, B started making noises from under Takeru's coat. Takeru nervously let her out, warning her not to bite. The kids were smitten, but the parents were shocked. Dragons are incredibly rare. Porin asked if Takeru was a dragon knight, but Takeru explained he just found and hatched the egg, which was even more shocking to them. That night, Takeru set up a magic stone barrier, but the family put their full trust in B instead of the stones. Takeru was low-key disappointed. When Eliza prepared dinner, Takeru asked to cook instead. He pulled utensils and ingredients from his magic bag, which was yet another surprise, and prepared a massive, delicious meal. The taste amazed everyone. Porin started crying because he was bored to death of eating dried meat every single day. He declared Takeru a magician, not of power, but the magician of taste. They all laughed and celebrated. For Takeru, who used to eat dinner completely by himself on Earth, having company while eating was a truly great feeling. It begs the question, how long can a gatherer with an SS rank dragon and god-tier magic keep his weak cover? What do you think will be the next shocking revelation of Takeru's hidden power? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it for this time. The next morning, Takeru started his day, predictably, by maintaining his tools before the traveling merchant and his wife prepared to leave. After they arrived on the outskirts of Tormi village, Takeru offered his polite thanks, and the merchant reciprocated. A simple, wholesome transaction. The village guard, however, revealed the merchant's secret. The man only showed up seasonally, spending winters in the major cities. Takeru, recalling the merchant's constant sad expression, simply assumed business was bad this season. Good thing he didn't have to worry about such peasant issues, right? He casually reflected on his own god-tier cheat skill, a blessing from the gods that let him gather anything. He really was living the easy life, entirely oblivious to the fact that his easy life was about to cause an international incident. His priority now? Getting paid. He headed straight to Jerome the collector's shop to sell his latest haul, including the mithril ore Jerome had requested. Jerome, the collector, was about to have the worst day of his professional career. Takeru, the genius, had just casually mixed in some mithril magic ore with the regular haul just to see what happened. Jerome's face went pale. After a lot of dramatic gasping and deliberation, he dropped the atomic bomb. This wasn't just valuable ore. It was a legendary object that only existed in fairy tales. Takeru, ever the dedicated actor, played surprised, but inside he was just confirming that his gathering skills were, indeed, completely broken. Then came the true catastrophe. Jerome confessed that the sheer quantity Takeru had collected was enough to give him more power than all the magic stones the country possessed combined. This wasn't a sale. It was practically economic sabotage. Takeru, with a straight face, chalked it up to being lucky. Jerome, understandably, didn't believe a word of it, recognizing Takeru as a world-class prodigy. But the man was weird. Jerome found it utterly baffling how Takeru had such massive power, yet such a shocking lack of common sense. His urgent advice? Get out of this backwater and go straight to Belkheim City. That was where Takeru could finally achieve the fame and success commensurate with his completely unbelievable, accidental genius. So what did the man with the key to global dominance do next? He went back to the inn to read an encyclopedia, because he genuinely didn't know what an adventurer's guild was. The guy who could trip over a legendary artifact daily was trying to figure out the concept of a job board. Priorities, folks. After his brief study session, he decided to join the guild, because how else do you make money while traveling this beautiful world? First, though, he had to take care of the villagers. He hosted a huge feast using the meat from the monsters he'd casually subjugated, instantly cementing himself as the town hero. His departure the next day was genuinely emotional. The lady at the seasoning shop nearly cried, packing him enough food to last the month-long journey to Belkheim. Back at the inn, Takeru revealed the biggest piece of hidden drama. He still had the mithril magic ore. Jerome hadn't bought it. B, the tiny dragon companion, went into deep thought about the priceless artifact, but quickly gave up and went to sleep. A perfectly reasonable response to such a complex topic. Takeru, however, came to a decision that only someone with unlimited wealth could conceive. He would use this invaluable, kingdom-altering material to make a little trinket for his kind villagers. Takeru's idea was breathtakingly simple and fiscally insane. He would use the legendary mithril magic ore to infuse an ordinary oil lamp with magic. On his very first try, naturally, he succeeded. The next morning, as the villagers bid him a tearful farewell, Takeru presented his humble, life-changing gift to the guard. He explained that this lamp would create an invisible barrier to keep people with ill intentions out of the village. It was the ultimate, priceless security system, crafted from the world's most sought-after material, all because he was feeling a little grateful. The villagers were hesitant, realizing this was a major magical artifact, but Takeru insisted, declaring this place his home. He didn't linger. He didn't stay to watch the tears or hear the overwhelming gratitude. He quite literally dashed away from the village with B, avoiding the sentimentality like a level 99 raid boss avoids a low-level grunt. He left behind a piece of his limitless power to protect a place he barely knew. On the road to Belkheim, Takeru felt things were too quiet, too calm. He had, of course, just jinxed the situation. Moments later, a giant creature blocked the path. Takeru's first move? Scanning it. His conclusion? Forget the threat level, the crab was edible. This was quite clearly the only data point that mattered. He prepared to attack, but B wasn't having it. The tiny dragon flew up and unleashed an echo so loud, so concussive, it instantly obliterated the giant crab's ears, killing it right on the spot. Takeru was genuinely shocked. He hadn't known his pet had such a shocking hidden skill. Just as he prepared to harvest the surprisingly tasty-looking loot, several more crabs emerged, violating the laws of crustacean travel by charging straight ahead. B grabbed Takeru and flew them clear as the enemy crabs slammed into each other, two dying from the sheer force of the collision. Takeru quickly finished the last one with a simple stick. They immediately went into culinary mode, setting up a gigantic pot and using Takeru's hardened hand to slice the crab. The taste, predictably, was amazing. Takeru and B renewed their unique, food-focused bond. Finally, they spotted the colossal walls of Belkheim, the city of commerce. Takeru was amazed by the sheer scale of the place. Noting the biggest adventurers guild in the kingdom was inside, he joined the massive security queue, using magic to disguise his massive, resource-stuffed inventory as a regular backpack, because no one needs to know how much priceless loot is actually in there. He hid B inside the bag before stepping into the inspection hall. When the guard checked his bag and found nothing, Takeru stated his occupation, gatherer. He had to be scanned by the Aval, an item that reveals a person's intentions. This was Takeru's moment of truth. Would his divine cheat skills be exposed? Takeru quickly scanned the Aval back and was relieved. His own stats were completely average, and he registered as blue, meaning utterly harmless. The gods, it seemed, were kind enough to hide the fact that he was basically a walking cheat code. The guard, however, did notice one tiny thing. The Dragon's Blessing. Takeru introduced B, explaining he was a pet, a gift from the dragon. The guard, mildly annoyed but accepting, allowed him to pass after seeing a bangle as proof of ownership. Takeru stepped outside, eyes wide at the bustling streets, and quickly found the guild. Inside, the receptionist, Ariana, looked utterly overwhelmed, which was a nice welcome. Takeru cut straight to registering as an adventurer. When asked for proof of fighting experience, he listed the monsters he defeated and then produced the ultimate proof, the giant crab he had killed earlier. The sight terrified Ariana, who immediately ran, alerting the other adventurers. One of the veterans scanned Takeru, confirming the blue status, harmless. But when Takeru explained his intent, that he was there to register, and then he was going to eat the crab, the entire guild went silent. They were shocked. They hadn't even known the crabs were edible. That one nonchalant statement revealed more about his overpowered nature than any epic battle ever could. He then introduced B, and the sight of a dragon as a pet officially stunned the hardened adventurers into absolute silence. Takeru, smugly satisfied with the impression he'd made, accepted his rank F adventurer's badge. He and B bumped tags, the oblivious overpowered gatherer and his secretly destructive dragon, ready for the next chapter. Takeru now makes the difficult visit to the family of Belria Fend. He carefully informed them that he had found the young man's belongings deep in the woods outside of Tormi village. We see a brief flashback that reveals Belria had initially ventured out to get medicine for his sick father. Takeru, being the poster child for good deeds, asks if he can perform a favor for the grieving family. Before leaving the slums, Takeru used his imitation healing magic to cure Belria's father. Takeru proceeds to visit the guild shop to sell a mountain of resources: 8 epera leaves, 6 polyvent roots, and 20 each of ruri mushrooms and akani mushrooms. The shopkeeper confirms that clients have been thrilled with the quality of his work. Here, the guild receptionist intercepts him, stating there have been many requests for his services. Takeru politely declines, insisting he will only accept a small handful of F-rank jobs. He needs to keep a low profile after all. His long-awaited reward was a moment of peace. Takeru finally went to take a bath, which he had wanted since he arrived. The bath water was initially filthy, but he was able to purify it instantly using his powerful Clean spell. Here, he ran into Clay, the Dragon King of Honor, who complained his old wounds were acting up again. Clay asked if Takeru could use healing magic, noting he had heard rumors that Takeru had used such magic on Belria's father in the slums. Takeru nonchalantly replied he just mimicked what he had seen before. Clay quickly remarked that Takeru could have made a mountain of gold if he had charged, but Takeru said he didn't want to upset professional doctors who work for a living, because that's a completely normal reason. Clay informed Takeru he was now eligible to rank up, but Takeru refused, thinking to himself that a higher rank would only cause trouble and interrupt his peaceful life. Clay called him unselfish, but Takeru retorted that he desperately wanted a sharp pair of scissors, so he wasn't that unselfish. Clay lectured him on learning some common sense. This conversation was repeated moments later when the shopkeeper echoed the rank-up suggestion, which Takeru firmly rejected. The peace was shattered almost instantly. A soldier burst in, exclaiming that a goblin attack was inbound. The guild instantly rose to action, planning to gather everyone rank D and higher to fight off the impending threat. The organizer asked Mezueli, the receptionist, if any rank A adventurers were around. She sadly confirmed the regulars were away, though Clay was present. Takeru wisely tried to pull an Irish exit, reasoning that being F rank made the problem literally not his business. Unfortunately, the organizer caught him sneaking away and ordered him to join the mission. They received their briefing. The Goblin front line was starting in the southwest of Stavlov Plains and was predicted to push northeast toward the main gates of Belkam. The adventurers were to stop the horde before they crossed the Zalwes River. The entire group acted like a poorly coached sports team, and Takeru felt distinctly out of place, like a liberal arts student thrown into a rugby match. 2 adventurers near him, Diego and Oraldo, quickly told him to stay out of their way, confirming his low F-rank status. Just then, the guildmaster, Rodor, commended Takeru for the high praises he'd been getting from the appraiser. He even complimented Takeru for withstanding his intimidation, calling it noteworthy. Rodor stated that while Takeru was F rank, he could protect himself, and told him to protect those around him too. Meuliteria apologized for Rodor's aggressive behavior and exclaimed that she could use basic healing skills, encouraging Takeru that they should both do their best. Meuliteria and Takeru were stationed on a cliffside medic camp. Meuliteria was scared shitless and freaking out. Takeru tried to calm her down, knowing her panic would only cause more trouble later. He reassured her that it was natural to be afraid and encouraged her to focus on healing the wounded. Clay showed up, surprisingly not on the front lines. He noticed Takeru speaking so passionately and chuckled, but Takeru claimed he was just trying to ensure nothing became troublesome later. Clay admitted he was stuck back here because his old wounds were flaring up. Takeru asked if the back wounds he noticed at the bathhouse were the cause. Clay immediately became defensive, asking if Takeru was going to shame him for receiving wounds on his back, a sign of running away. Takeru claimed, with a shocking display of empathy, that those wounds could have just as easily been from protecting someone. He concluded that Clay was still alive and could continue to keep protecting others. Clay was clearly moved by the defense. A horn suddenly sounded, signaling the arrival of the Goblin army. Clay departed, heading to the front line against Takeru's protest, swearing to protect everyone even if it broke his body. Takeru muttered under his breath, "You can't protect anyone if you break your body." Meuliteria echoed the sentiment. Takeru finally conceded that this was definitely not the time to try and avoid trouble. Takeru pulled out his tree-dress staff, instantly deployed a powerful barrier around the medic camp, and ran after Clay, enhanced with his speed and hardening magic. On the battlefield, adventurers were already getting overwhelmed. Takeru launched an assault, knocking out several goblins with a single punch. B also joined the fray. In addition to her previous hyper voice attack, she took out a large chunk of the trash mobs with a Pikachu-style thunderbolt. She can learn 2 more moves now. The adventurers debriefed Takeru, saying a high-rank species called a Goblin Sergeant had shown up, and Clay had been separated while retreating. They found Clay holding his own but being pushed back. B came to the rescue with another perfectly timed thunderbolt. Clay ordered Takeru to leave, but Takeru proved his point by tapping Clay on his back wound, causing him excruciating pain. Takeru stated they should fall back and regroup, and that B and him would fight as well. Clay, worried that the Goblin Sergeant would catch up, put on a strong front, stating Takeru should live. Takeru asked if the scar on Clay's back held any important memories. Clay stated it was just a reminder of his foolishness, an annoyance. While B was having fun toasting the trash mobs, Takeru tossed his staff to B, pulled out the ancient dragon's water, and splashed it on Clay, immediately following up with the incantation, Reda Furious. Clay was instantly healed and transformed into an advanced draconic species, a Dragonewt, looking remarkably like Voldius. The Dragonewt Clay proceeded to decimate the rest of the mobs and the Goblin Sergeant alike. Guildmaster Rodor showed up, witnessing the lingering chaotic magic in the air. Rodor immediately asked Takeru if he was responsible for releasing Clay's power, and if Takeru was the one casting strong spells and lightning strikes everywhere. Takeru thought to himself that Rodor must be confusing B's attacks with his own magic. Takeru paused, then confirmed, "Yes, I am the one who released his power." Rodor's demeanor instantly shifted. He dropped all pretenses and asked Takeru point blank, "What exactly are you?" Takeru calmly replied he was just an F-rank adventurer who happened to be good at gathering. Rodor, sensing Takeru wouldn't reveal more, promised him a reward. Back at the inn, Clay had returned to his normal form, but claimed he still felt something fiery inside and demanded an explanation from Takeru. Takeru, with trademark nonchalance, explained he had just splashed some SS rank element water on him and cast Reda Furious. He explained he got the water from B's parent, an ancient dragon. Clay was confused about the healing spell. Takeru explained he just imitated what he knew, saying healing magic works better when imagining how the body is made. He noted Clay had a lot of important nerves on his back, which greatly enhanced the effect. Clay, feeling overwhelmed, asked who Takeru really was. Takeru decided to tell him everything while B cuddled adorably with his cloak. Clay, processing the crazier things that happened that day, decided to believe it. He then talked about his earlier transformation, calling the state a Dragonewt, a power his ancient ancestors held. He was proud but scared. Takeru advised Clay not to get too excited to prevent the next transformation. Clay, rightfully so, stated that Takeru truly lacks common sense and decided it was his turn to give Takeru a lecture. Back in the village, everything had returned to normal. Takeru decided to do some window shopping, probably for those sharp scissors of his, and meets a cat beast woman who asks if she can help. Takeru meets the energetic catwoman apprentice, Rebel, and asks about scissors. She confirms they don't sell them, but upon learning Takeru is the famous materials gatherer, she offers a potential solution. She explains that their master, a talented blacksmith, might help him in exchange for a very small, difficult procurement. Inside, Takeru is suitably impressed by the craftsman. Ribble, dreaming of forging a hero's sword, pitches her exchange idea to the boss, Grallis. Grallis, ever the voice of caution, immediately rejects it. Ribble insists, citing the dwindling Ildra ore supply and a tight deadline. Grallis counters that the Ryuhai mine is overrun by demons after an earthquake and is far too dangerous for their talented new recruit. What a concerned boss. Ribble, recognizing the sheer scope of the task, tells Takeru to forget the whole thing. Takeru, whose sense of self-preservation is clearly optional, asks the astonishing question, "If I get the impossible ore for you, will you forge a custom pair of gathering scissors that only I can use?" Grallis is speechless, which is understandable. Takeru then whips out a giant crab claw from a previously slain monster, proving he is, in fact, terrifyingly capable. The deal is sealed, and Takeru has leveraged a rank A risk for a pair of customized cutting tools. Takeru and B head west by wagon toward the Ryuhai mine. His travel buddies chatter about recent mountain weirdness, poisonous herbs suddenly dying, disturbances in the White Tree Forest, all of which Takeru completely fails to connect to his own slight misuse of world-altering magic. At a horse dealer, they encounter the infamous Stinky Elf Friend demanding a magnificent steed, only to be offered a large white raven. The stable master patiently explains that here, horse is a term of convenience for anything that hauls cargo. The elf, mortified and audibly starving, departs, heading toward Vosrael. Takeru, spotting an opportunity for his beloved Moon Knight grass, slips away to gather. Sure enough, the elf's monstrous stomach growl leads him right to her. After providing water and food, Takeru makes a snap decision. He quickly hits her with a clean spell before she can get close enough to ruin his mental image of elves forever. The now clean elf, Velvareda Brolite, insists that as an elf she must repay the favor. Takeru suggests she could be his bodyguard, because he desperately needs one, obviously. Brolite accepts, officially joining the team. Her first contributions to the gathering effort: a plain rock, some feces, and a poisonous mushroom. Ah, she's like B, Takeru kindly notes. Brolite then proceeds to showcase her actual value, effortlessly ripping out an entire tree trunk and slicing it into firewood using her rank A Sylph Jambia. Later, Brolite reveals she's traveling to Vosrael to find a legendary white Pegasus for her sister, Lutakara. The party happily retires for the night, only to discover Brolite possesses a second equally impressive ability: extremely loud snoring. The sleep-deprived party arrives at the city. While dining at an inn, they are discussing Brolite's acquaintance, the honorary Dragon King, when Clayston, materializes behind them. Clay immediately launches into a well-deserved lecture on Takeru taking quests far above his rank. Takeru proudly explains the scissors deal. Clay, in disbelief, states that Takeru's lack of common sense always astonishes him. Naturally, Clay invites himself along, reasoning that gaining a blacksmith favor is the perfect chance to get his spear modified. So Takeru's party is complete: a dragon, a very loud elf, and a nagging old samurai. At the gates of the Dwarven Kingdom, Clay simply speaks to the guards, and the whole party is immediately ushered past a massive queue for an audience with the king. Takeru learns the truth. Clay is the legendary hero who freed the kingdom from the Demon King, Thunder King Zengum. And yes, there is a giant statue of him. Upon meeting the king, Clay complains about his statue, showcasing their friendly relationship. Takeru hands over a letter from Grusus. The king explains the gravity of the demon situation. Clay casually volunteers himself and Brolight to escort Takeru, gaining permission for the gathering quest and an extra assignment: investigate the overall status of the mine. At the mine entrance, Guide Zambo leads the team into the dark depths. Inside, Takeru gives a masterclass in not taking anything seriously, effortlessly dual casting light and read to illuminate the path while also mapping the tunnels. His new elite party members are suitably impressed by his casual genius. Takeru ignores them, using his search feature to note that the visible ore is low grade. The party is promptly ambushed by spiders. Clay is forced to leap into battle, eliminating one, while Takeru manages to paralyze another with stop motion, allowing Brolight to finish the job. Deeper in, Takeru's search finally hits gold. He uses a series of precision spells to procure the material. It's not the requested Ildra ore, but Ildrite, a stunningly rare, crystalline, rank A material that Clay confirms is virtually a magic stone. The moment of triumph is interrupted when B shouts that something is coming. Takeru, abandoning all pretense of being a sensible human, starts to drool as he identifies his next meal, yet another giant crab creature, and eagerly prepares for battle. The air crackled with excitement. Takeru and B were ecstatic, staring down the massive crustacean. It was the Trango crab, a ferocious rank A monster, as Clay frantically yelled. The crab struck first. Clay immediately called for teamwork, but Takeru flatly refused. "This is my main dish tonight," he declared. He ordered B to provide cover, but with one major rule: no fire or lightning magic. Takeru then activated quick and reduction magic on his limbs and charged. B blasted the area with hyper voice. Takeru landed a clean strike with his staff, and it had no effect. Thinking fast, B used Ice Beam to immobilize the crab. Takeru quickly used Scan, finding the monster's vulnerability, its joints. He then unleashed Ice Needles, freezing the huge crab solid. Clay immediately demanded an explanation for the solo attack. Takeru revealed his culinary logic. If we use tainted weapons, the crab might be inedible. Surprised they planned to eat it, Clay voiced his professional concern, arguing that his inability to fight made him a poor bodyguard. Takeru simply said he was used to fighting crab monsters. Clay conceded Takeru's magic was well suited, but emphasized the importance of trust and teamwork in battle. Takeru apologized, and Clay was placated. With the demon vanquished and Zambo ecstatic about a found mineral vein, Takeru realized the magnitude of his power. He understood what the celestial being meant. A single drop can cause many ripples. As Brolight called for them to head back, Takeru hoped his changes would be positive ones. Reporting to the king's chambers, Takeru gave his account. Zambo vouched for the results and asked Takeru to present the demon. Takeru obliged, dropping the massive crab in the throne room. The king was impressed, calling it a terrifying creature and a worthy deed. Takeru requested his reward, the crab itself. Brolight pointed out they also received 3 million rave each, but Takeru was too focused on the dishes he'd cook and forging his new scissors from the crab's shell. Brolight was rewarded with the majestic steed she'd been seeking for her sister. Clay received a splendid brand new spear. Brolight departed to deliver the steed to her sister, stating her great debt to Takeru, who insisted they were even, given his prized crab. With a final goodbye, Clay noted their carriage had arrived, and they headed back to the guild. They were met by Ariana, who asked if Takeru and Clayston had teamed up. Takeru began to object, but Clay quickly intervened, claiming they had formed a temporary team. Clay side-eyed Takeru, explaining it was good to have someone keep an eye on Takeru's crazy antics. Takeru took mild offense but was happy for his new companion. After discussion, the new party was officially named the Azure Black Brigade. Takeru finally delivered the high-purity Ildrite to Grazus and Ribble. The blacksmith duo was overjoyed, tearfully thanking him. They hadn't seen this much high-quality Ildrite in 120 years. Takeru was pleased, taking pride in being a gatherer. Ribble worried about how to pay for the high quality, but Takeru waved him off. They owed him the scissors. They were even. He told the duo to focus on making a stellar sword for the upcoming showcase. Half a month later, Wade arrived with a summons from Lord Belmonent, the territorial lord of Belkame. Takeru immediately feared trouble and feigned a stomachache. Wade assured him the noble was pleasant, and Takeru reluctantly opened the letter. The Lord wished to bestow honors upon Takeru and Clay for their battlefield efforts and invited the newly formed team to the estate. Takeru was suspicious, believing honors was a ruse to ask for something. Clay joked the Lord just wanted to see the young dragon, sending Takeru into a panic that they'd take B away. Wade assured him the Lord had no such authority. Clay vowed that if the Lord tried anything, they'd walk out of the city. Takeru brightened. Then let's go get some monster meat cuisine. They departed in a noble's carriage. Clay noted that an invitation to a lord's mansion was an adventurer's dream. Their backing meant a huge increase in credibility. At the magnificent estate, they were greeted by Raymond, the butler. A young girl, Lady Meuliteria, ran down the stairs and instantly claimed B as her own. Takeru's refusal astonished her. He knelt and asked why she felt entitled. She explained that her butler, Bernard, told her to take an adamant stance against disobedient adventurers. Realizing the culprit, Takeru apologized and gently explained that B was part of his family. Lady Meuliteria realized B understood her and apologized for her demand, making up with the dragon. She then explained she wanted a dragon because it was important to her mother. Lord Lucelvac entered, handsome and formal. They retired to the living room, and the Lord apologized for his daughter. Clay cut to the chase. Why were they brought here? Lord Belmonent confessed he had a request concerning his wife, Lady Meuliteria. She had been bedridden for 6 months. Rumors of Takeru's healing, specifically curing a frail tenant, had reached the manor. He begged Takeru to save his wife. Takeru hesitated, worried about his unstable power. He mentioned that Tieris had wanted a cute dragon to lift her mother's spirits before returning to school. The sentiment moved Clay, who began tearing up, attempting to guilt-trip Takeru into accepting. B joined the tearful plea. Though Takeru feared a single wrong move could spell disaster, he agreed to at least take a look. Lord Belmonent went to explain the situation to his wife. Takeru asked if he could brighten the room but was refused. The lady was sensitive to sunlight. Takeru walked over and performed a scan. He saw she was riddled with illnesses, but most crucially, Iver poisoning. Clay was confused. Takeru explained the final hurdle. Trust. Could the Lord's family truly place their faith in a random adventurer? Lady Meuliteria stated she would trust her husband's decision. Lord Belmonent gave his full endorsement, and Takeru accepted the job. Lord Belmonent desperately begs Takeru to save his wife. Takeru explains he cannot use his mass mana technique on Lady Meuliteria. He focuses instead on her immediate pain, light sensitivity. Using a gentle, controlled heal spell, Takeru treats her damaged eyes. She opens them, finding her vision perfectly restored, pain-free. Encouraged, Takeru cleanses the room with clean magic and opens the windows, flooding the space with light. Lady Meuliteria weeps tears of joy. The light no longer hurts her, and she embraces her husband. Takeru places an orange magistone safeguard near her room in case she is attacked. While Clay celebrates, Takeru remains focused. The poisoning persists. Takeru and Lord Belmonent move to the library to discuss the Iver toxin. They quickly deduce someone must be poisoning Lady Meuliteria. When Takeru asks for an antidote, the Lord reveals the poison and its cure were lost to time. Ingredients for both have been forgotten for centuries. Desperate, Belmonent shows Takeru his family book collection. Many are in an ancient language. Thanks to a decipher skill Takeru learned from an adventurer's diary, and his adapted search skill, Busca, Takeru finds the relevant journal. The journal, belonging to Pola Pola, describes finding the sparkly gold Iver flower by a horse-shaped rock near a huge lake. Cleiston identifies the location, Asheth village in the Vanon region. Despite the 5-day journey, Takeru declares, they must leave immediately. As they prepare to leave, the treacherous butler, Bernard, sends a pigeon out a window. Lady Tiaris rushes up to Takeru, filled with remorse, and apologizes for her earlier rudeness. Takeru accepts her apology, giving her vital advice. If anyone tries to manipulate her, she must use Hurenso, report, contact, consult, immediately with her father. Once away from the castle, Takeru uses quick and reduction to dramatically increase their speed, leaving Clay astonished. They arrive at Asheth village, finding it a barren wasteland. Takeru scans Lake Galeus and discovers it was deliberately contaminated with paleocin toxin. The lake is polluted. They encounter starving, weakened villagers. The villagers reveal that 10 months ago, the lake and wells were poisoned. A merchant, Engache, arrived, offering water in exchange for the village's sacred shiny flowers, the Iver flower, known to them as the divine flower. To keep themselves alive, they made a deal with Engache to trade clean water for 1 Iver flower per month. Engache's water wasn't enough, leading to crop failure and famine. Takeru furiously exposes Engache, a villain who intentionally contaminated the lake to exploit their resource. Vowing revenge on Engache, Takeru commands B to use spirit arts. B lets out a mighty roar, summoning a downpour to revive the land. Once the rain stops and the sun shines, Takeru uses his Teldrassail staff to cast clean on the villagers and repair on the village structures. He then uses his cooking skills to feed everyone nourishing soup. As repayment, Takeru only asks to be shown the Iver flower so he can manufacture an antidote. The chief agrees. The village children, now lively, swarm Takeru, offering to take him to their secret base, a barn where they store the sweet nectar from the salty lidas fruit, whose juice is identical to soy sauce. Back at the mansion, Takeru's Magistone alarm rings. Lady Tiaris rushes to investigate and finds Bernard at the door. He tries to discredit Takeru, but Tiaris immediately reports the incident to Lord Belmonent, using Ho-Renso. In the study, Lord Belmonent asks Bernard to drink the water prepared for Lady Meuliteria's treatment. Bernard refuses, and when the Lord splashes it, Bernard recoils, screaming, "It's poison!" Lord Belmonent drinks it himself, proving the water is harmless, and exposing the butler Bernard as Meuliteria's poisoner. Bernard is arrested. Lord Belmonent immediately receives a ciphered letter, and a look of shock crosses his face. The encoded letter is discovered in Bernard's room. Meanwhile, in Asheth, Engache visits to forcibly take all the Iver with his hired thugs. A guard reveals the chief is with the adventurers, and they know the flower is poison. Engache announces a change of plans. They will finish the village now. Takeru and his party, escorted by the chief, arrive at the field with the horse statue and the Iver flowers. Takeru exclaims, "We have found the divine flowers!" And that's all we've got for this episode. Before you go, let us know in the comments what you want to see covered next. And of course, please like and subscribe. It really helps us bring you more recaps and top 10s every week. Thanks for being here.